So yesterday Denmark was hit by a hurricane. It came around yesterday evening and it stayed all night, and only here today in the forenoon, in the morning, it calmed down a bit. So here in the afternoon, as it is right now, you can see the setting sun is over there. It's now very quiet. And I must say, sometimes I forget how much power there is in nature. Of course, academically, I get it. I can relate to it. And as such, I don't forget it. But my neighbors, he has a fence that was torn. It was bolted to the wall in his house, bolted to it. And the hurricane had just simply pulled it out of the wall, clean out of the wall, and thrown it a bit down the street, so to speak. And his lesson learned was that the fence was too, should I say, solid. The wind couldn't pass through it. So it was like a sail. So because of the wind direction, it's the pressure on the fence simply became massive. So it's gone. So there you have it. But Otto wasn't too bad relative to what we have seen of hurricanes otherwise in Denmark. And we shouldn't be complaining. We don't have any earthquakes or anything here in Little Denmark. So I'm not complaining in any way, shape or form. See here, I wanted to show you here the colors that I really like, because you have this green with a little bit of red in it in the tree up there. And then you have the red or the purple. This can be much more purple at other times of year. But there's just something about this combination that, from a color perspective, I really like. And I'm not very good with color science. Maybe you are better. There is something about red and green being on the opposite side of the color wheel, I believe. But it's also because they are a little bit, how should I say it? They are not so clean green and clean red. It's more dusted, if I can say it like that. So I think it works really well. And I like this spot. And I have tons of images shot in this space here. Let me show you some images and let's see if you can spot what the mistake or the error is. Here goes. It's not because there's something wrong with the images other than the subject, the composition, the light, and the photographer, you may think. No, the point was actually they're all shot with my iPhone. And I'm just thinking, maybe we all have cameras in our smartphones today that are much better than what photographers had, say 50 years ago. And it just got me thinking that all this, we talk about gear, and of course that's fair. You're concerned about whether you have the right gear and so on. I think it's only natural. But I was just wondering if, what images would a guy like Henri Cartier-Bresson, what would he have taken today if he had been around with all the technology we have today? Of course, there's a leading line here. Can you see that little light area out there? Maybe it's difficult because the GoPro is super wide, but it looks beautiful. Really nice here in real life. The last few videos I've been talking about a little tree in the woods that I use as my, you can say, my canary in a coal mine. That gives me an indication whether I'm actually seeing anything or not at all. And sometimes I just walk past it. And here's another tree I just want to show you, where I think both the shape of it and also that it's white against a little bit darker background, I would say. So let me just show you that. Yeah. Hey. I think when people pass me by, they think, what a sad guy. He's walking around in the woods, talking to himself. But This is the tree here. I hope you can see it. So that book there, The Inner Game of Outdoor Photography, hasn't arrived yet. It's the 18th of February. So there are 10 days left still. They're complaining. Just wanted to show you here. Can you see the contrast there? Beautiful scene with the straw, the top of the straw being backlit by the sun. I just love a motif like that. Now there's a bit of wind. I hope the microphone doesn't pick all of that up. And you can still hear me, but it's just a beautiful scene here. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. You know, sometimes photography is so simple that when you figure it out, you're thinking to yourself, it can't be that simple. And I want to show you some trees over here that I just couldn't get right. And the only thing I had to do was to turn the camera from landscape to portrait. You won't believe it, but that was actually the case. Let me show you. They are right over here. So here's the group of trees that I couldn't figure out how to shoot. And all I had to do was to turn the camera so that it was in portrait instead of being in landscape. Like that. Then I was happy with the result. And of course it's subject to personal preference and all that. And you may think nothing of the images, but it was just a little experience where I couldn't figure out how to get it right or the way that I wanted it to. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, it's that simple. The framing, or whether it's a landscape or portrait, that was what did the trick. Can you see this? The green, the purple, the yellow. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have noticed those colors, say 5 years ago, before I really got into photography. So I am so grateful that I see things today that I didn't used to see. What is your take on composition? Because I'm struggling with that concept a bit. I mean, I've read a good book about composition, or several actually. But it just seems to me like, when I look at the landscape image, it's built on the same formula. You have something in the foreground attraction, and then there's some leading lines taking your eyes to the distance, and then there's usually a beautiful sunset or something along those lines. But I'm just, when I see those images, I can see they have all read the same book about composition. That's the impression I'm left with. And I'm just so super bored. And, you know, and again, when we come back to this thing about seeing versus not seeing and all that, we talked about that in some of the previous videos. Just have this feeling that all this composition talk, it's a little bit like talking about gear. It pulls you away from photography, it pulls you away from seeing. So I'm really struggling here, but I guess it's part of the trade. But yeah, I'm struggling here. If you have any good ideas or views on this, please let me know in the comments. I'm really trying to figure out what my opinion about composition actually is. As you can maybe sense, the sun is setting out here in the horizon, and I need to call it a wrap. I hope this was remotely interesting, and please help me with this composition thing. What do you make of it? Because I can't figure out how much energy I should put into that. Any input is very much appreciated. As always, happy shooting. Take care. Bye bye.